It's been 4 years since 49-year-old mother of two Suzanne Morphew was reported missing on Mother's Day from her home in Salida, Colorado. I've been following this case since day one. I went to the preliminary hearing down in Salida in August of 2021, and I get a lot of questions from my friends and from subs in general about this case. There's a lot to it, and it's been 4 years. I thought it would be a good idea in honor of her 4-year anniversary to start from the very beginning, go through the timeline and all of the evidence right up until the very latest crazy turn of events. But first, I'm Vanessa, and welcome to Unmasked. Please take a moment to help support my channel by subscribing, hitting the thumbs up, the notification bell, and setting to all so you'll be notified of all of my upcoming videos. Also, please share this video anywhere you can. So whether you've been following this case from the very beginning or you're just kind of trying to get into it because of all of the crazy stuff that's happened recently, sit back and get comfy as I tell you all about the murder of Suzanne Morphew. On May 10th, 2020, which was also Mother's Day, 49-year-old mother of two Suzanne Morphew had reportedly gone out for a bike ride near her home in Salida, Colorado. She would never return. Over the next 4 years, Suzanne's case would garner worldwide attention and be full of shocking twists and turns. It would also be revealed that her seemingly picture-perfect life was nothing like it seemed. What happened to her over that Mother's Day weekend was suspected to be the result of years of dark family secrets, jealousy, and revenge. Suzanne and Barry Morphew had known each other since high school. They both attended Alexandria Monroe High School in Indiana, with Barry being 2 years ahead of her. Suzanne was nominated for Homecoming Queen, and Barry was a star baseball player who had dreams of going pro. He was drafted by the Toronto Blue Jays in 1986, but wasn't good enough to make it into the pros and got an agricultural degree instead. Although he loved baseball, his real passion in life was hunting. Barry and Suzanne got married in August of 1994 and had 2 daughters, Mallory and Macy. Barry and Suzanne moved from Indiana to the quiet mountain town of Salida, Colorado in April of 2018. In June of 2018, Suzanne was diagnosed with cancer for the second time. They bought a beautiful rustic home for $1.5 million in a remote neighboring town called Maysville. By several accounts, there were already big cracks in their marriage, with Suzanne complaining to friends that Barry was jealous and possessive and too controlling of the finances. She also complained that he had a wandering eye. Neighbors of the couple in Indiana have also said that Barry didn't seem to treat Suzanne very well and that he was known to have a very hot temper. After moving to Colorado, Suzanne would tell her friends that Barry was highly manipulative with her and with their daughters. She also felt that he was unstable and said that he would use any excuse to fly off the handle and leave the house. If anything, it seemed like the move to Colorado pushed the marriage to a breaking point. It was clear by her text messages to friends that Suzanne was miserable. Not only was she unhappy in her marriage, but she was now very isolated and battling cancer. In September of 2018, Suzanne reached out to an old high school boyfriend, Jeff Libler, on Facebook, and the two started talking. However, Jeff was also married with 6 kids, and one night when his daughter borrowed his phone to order pizza, she saw messages from Suzanne and confronted him. Feeling guilty, Jeff stopped talking to Suzanne for a brief period of time. However, by Christmas time, Suzanne had reached out to Jeff on LinkedIn and they started talking again. It appears Barry was becoming suspicious because he started calling her wherever she was and keeping track of everything that she did. In January of 2019, the Morphew family went on vacation in Mexico. Barry reportedly demanded Suzanne's phone and, according to Suzanne, chased her around the resort, demanding the password. Between February 2019 and February of 2020, Suzanne and Jeff managed to meet up in different cities to spend time together. In September of 2019, Suzanne's best friend Sheila Oliver was visiting Suzanne at her home on Puma Path when Barry, who was supposed to be hunting in Arizona, quietly drove up with his lights off and crept around the dark woods, trying to spy on Suzanne and Sheila. Barry denies this version of events and said that he was just trying to discreetly get into the house and take a shower without being seen because he was a mess from being out in the woods on a camping trip the last several days. Around this time, it was rumored that Barry was actively pursuing a woman in Salida. Suzanne and Jeff met up in Dallas for 2 nights in October of 2019, but that Christmas they decided to find more secretive ways to talk because Suzanne was worried that Barry was going to find out about their affair. Around that same time, Barry purchased a secret second phone. In February of 2020, Suzanne went to Florida to see her father, but secretly met up with Jeff. During that trip, her friend Sheila gave her a spy pen that records conversations. Suzanne recorded a conversation with Jeff during that trip. It's clear during this time that the marital discord was escalating and seemed to be at a point of no return. In March of 2020, Suzanne recorded a fight between her and Barry using the spy pen. During this fight, Suzanne can be overheard telling Barry, "I have lived for years being told how I should feel, how I should act, how I should look, what I should drink, what I shouldn't drink, what I should put in my body, what I shouldn't put in my body." She also texted her friend Sheila, "It's Jekyll and Hyde again." Pretty much told him, "I can't be healthy and stay in this." She also told Sheila that her 16-year-old daughter Macy had told her that she should get a restraining order against Barry. On March 22, 2020, just 2 days after that text exchange, the spy pen recorded Barry watching episodes of Forensic Files. In a weird coincidence, one of the episodes is about a girl who disappears while on a bike ride. On April 21st, Suzanne texted Jeff that she wanted to be with him, that she needed him, and that she loved him. Whether or not Barry knew about their affair, he had to know at the very least that he was losing control of Suzanne. This is where the timeline becomes extremely important. On Tuesday, May 5th, 2020, Suzanne drove her youngest daughter Macy to Gunnison, Colorado to meet up with her older daughter Mallory. The girls had a camping trip with friends planned in Utah and Idaho. This left Barry and Suzanne alone in the house together, with tensions quickly rising. Suzanne had relayed to her friend that she was afraid to be alone with Barry. If Barry was hoping that their time alone would give him an opportunity to manipulate her into staying, the opposite was occurring. On Wednesday, May 6, 2020, Suzanne texted Barry, "I'm done. I could care less what you're up to and have been for years." Barry later deleted this text and many others that week of he and Suzanne fighting. Barry replied, "I'm sorry if things went the way they did. I have a problem dealing with the way you accused me of hiding checks. If you think I'm as terrible of a person to hide our accounts and have ones you don't know about, then you don't know me. All I do is for you and the girls, all. When I'm dead, which won't be long, you guys will be taken care of. Honey, I swear it's the hardest thing I've had to do. I love you and I always will." On Thursday, May 7th, Suzanne texted Jeff that she was going on a bike ride. Her oldest daughter Mallory had sent her a text about getting a job, but Suzanne did not respond. On Friday, May 8th, Suzanne's phone backed up a list of 50 reasons why she wanted to leave her marriage with Barry on the Notes app on her phone. Some of the reasons listed were not safe alone with you, can't be trusted, oppressive, slams on brakes when angry, threatens to jump out of the car, and gun. Suzanne also texted Barry that she was still willing to do his invoices when he needed her, implying that even though she wanted out of the marriage, she was still willing to help him out. Barry later claimed to investigators that he did not take her threats to leave him seriously. On the evening of May 8th, Suzanne texted her sister that Barry had been mentally, emotionally, and physically abusive with her and that she was angry at herself for allowing it this long. Barry texted Suzanne that he loved her and asked her to meet him out to pick up a pizza. It was on this night that things began to get really strange. At 9 p.m., 20 Facebook requests were sent out to men by Suzanne's account. 3 of the men who were sent the requests were named Jeff. On Saturday morning, May 9th, Barry left to go work on a local job. A coworker of Barry's named Morgan Gentile was with Barry that morning around 8 a.m. and recalled that he seemed stressed out and out of sorts that morning, and then he kept saying he needed to get home and do things to make his wife happy. They also allegedly had a strange conversation where Morgan had mentioned that pigs can eat a whole body, and Barry responded by saying that he could bury a body and it would never be found. He later claimed that he came home to have lunch with Suzanne around 11:30 and then left again to check on another job. However, his movements show him walking around the back of the property at the time that they were allegedly having lunch. He later stated that he was looking for a turkey that their daughter Mallory had shot a while back. Many people have speculated that he was either spying on Suzanne or scoping something out for later. What is known is that early that afternoon, Suzanne began texting back and forth with her boyfriend Jeff, and at 2:03 p.m., she sent him a selfie of herself sunbathing in the backyard. Jeff asked her to send nudes. Her last message to Jeff was at 2:11 p.m., letting him know that she was getting on WhatsApp. Suzanne, who was reportedly always on her phone, never used her phone again after that message. At 2:26, Barry texted Suzanne, letting her know that he was headed back to the house, and at 2:31, he texted her again asking if she had left. She did not respond to either of his messages. At 2:39, Jeff messaged Suzanne and she didn't respond or even read it. At 2:43, Barry returned home to their house on Puma Path. His phone showed that he walked around the back of the house, and many questioned if he walked up on Suzanne texting her lover. A few minutes later, his phone was switched into airplane mode. That afternoon, Suzanne's boyfriend and her best friend were sending her messages, and none of the messages were ever read or responded to. In addition to that, Barry put his phone in airplane mode the rest of the day and into the evening. According to Barry, he and Suzanne had agreed to turn off their phones and have a wonderful night together. Barry claimed they cooked steaks, made love, and then went to bed around 8 p.m. The next day, Sunday, May 10th, was Mother's Day. Barry claimed he left extremely early in the morning and headed to Broomfield to do a retaining wall job. Broomfield, Colorado is a suburb of Denver, approximately 3 hours northwest of Salida. He said that when he left that morning, that Suzanne was a lump in the bed and was slightly snoring. At 6:10 a.m. that morning, Barry texted Suzanne Happy Mother's Day and that he loved her. At 8:25 a.m., Barry walked into the Holiday Inn Express in Broomfield and checked into his room. He called Suzanne throughout the day, unable to reach her. Since it was Mother's Day, her daughters were also trying to reach her with no success. Barry finally called and asked a neighbor to check on Suzanne. When the neighbors couldn't find her, Barry had them call the police. Barry was seen on camera around 6 p.m. carrying shovels and other tools into the hotel room and then left to head back to Salida to check on Suzanne. Meanwhile, investigators responded to the scene and shortly after found Suzanne's bike abandoned.
Maybe see if you can get that up to the road and then check the serial number or call the husband and see what kind of bike she has. Somebody check it on it. Can you try to call the husband and see what type of bike she has? Right now I'm staring at a Santa Cruz, blue in color.
Well, dude, I started that.
One of us is still here. It's gonna be on the bottom of that. That's what I usually because the rim's not gonna. I'm just looking at the rim. Not bent.
What is it? Form for on, Jeff? That's a big warning.
Yes, maybe. Be careful where you touch it, you just stay on there and not touch it too much or taste like. Yeah. Something's up with this front tire. Said something's up with this front tire.
Are you?
Okay, so I'm the daughter's boyfriend.
Okay.
And I'm here.
Is this your truck?
That's my truck.
Somebody check it out. Never mind, I got something here. So you haven't seen the mom at all, have you?
Yep, so the two daughters are gone right now at the moment. The dad is in Denver for a job, and they text her because of Mother's Day, and they haven't heard. The text never went through, like it never delivered since this morning. And she's a big mountain biker. She normally takes her car, and her bike's normally in the back of that. It's gone.
Was this open when you came here?
The neighbor was here that opened it, and then she shut it, and she went back to her house. Her house is right over there.
Okay.
And then I came back and I opened it to come in the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you looked in the house?
I have. Yep.
All right. You looked through everything?
Yes.
You haven't found her?
No.
Okay. All right. What time did you get here?
6 o'clock, and then I went all the way up Frusis. She's rode up there, and I just drove the main road, couldn't find her, and then there's a couple spots that I could check, like trails and stuff, but I wanted to come back here to just like check back in and stuff.
Okay. Has she ever gone up 225?
Colorado Trail right there?
Like, you know the big hill once you come up the highway?
Well, she hasn't, and I haven't checked there yet because that climb at the beginning is really hard.
Yeah.
And I think that it would be out of characteristic for her to do that, but I mean, someone needs to go there, I think.
Why would you say this, like on carry?
Well, because it's kind of a crazy, it's kind of a crazy climb to get up there. It's like not really rideable. You gotta push your bike before you can start riding.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you have a driver's license on you?
It's in my truck. Here's my dad pulling up.
That's your dad?
That's my dad right there.
Okay. That's 211.
Good.
Alright, so this is one of the daughter's boyfriend. And he's saying it'd be out of ordinary for her to travel up that way. Where we found the bike.
Wait, where did they find her bike?
The bike's leaning up against the sheriff's vehicle.
Yeah.
Do we know what she was wearing in reference to the jacket?
Do you know what she usually wears when she goes riding?
She has a couple different sets of clothing in terms of what she wears riding, so I'm not sure exactly what she put on today.
Okay, what are some of the outfits she wears?
Blue shorts, like turquoise blue shorts.
Can you pull her
She
up on
has
Instagram?
Yeah, she has a
biking
blue
pictures?
helmet, which she always wears.
Okay.
A like turquoise blue helmet.
You guys have her bike though?
Yeah, we do.
But not her?
Not her.
Okay.
Where'd you find her bike?
Off of that road that I was asking you about.
Oh,
where you said it was
in
on
Chavano.
Just right out here on the road.
Right out there, okay.
Right where you found.
Where that road takes off up the...
Does she wear any jackets?
She probably would have had.
What kind of jackets does she wear?
I mean, a windbreaker.
A windbreaker?
I don't know what color.
I saw her.
I mean, we don't even know what time she left today.
Yeah.
But they have cameras.
They have cameras, but they've been out of commission for a while.
Hey, 11, can you get a list of some of the trails
So her
that
bike
she
was close to the road?
That way, if we get search and rescue out here, they can focus on those.
Yeah, I'm working on that right now.
It's good.
What were some of the other trails you said? She rides up Booses and...
Yep, she rides up Fusis. Normally when she takes her car, she goes down to, the, what's that road called? That's right down at the pay. Goes up to Norfolk Lake.
Okay, what about around here? Since she didn't take her car, she clearly left
Okay,
from
so
here.
she would have gone up Fusis, I assume, or to the Colorado
Across,
Trail.
you go straight across the
Is
highway,
that
the
trail?
Colorado Trail's right
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
So you can go up that ridge there,
Yeah.
and that gets on the Colorado.
And did you just let him know about it? Do you live in the area?
No, he dates her.
Right.
Yeah,
so he called you and let you
Well,
know.
we were talking to their daughters on a road trip. We were talking to them down in town.
Okay.
And then I said, yeah, why don't you run up there and see if you can't find her. And so then once he'd been gone a while, I drove up here.
I know this is a weird question, but do Barry and Suzanne get along pretty well?
You can answer honestly.
You know, I think they've had some problems.
Okay.
Yeah, in the past.
Like, just normal...
Normal husband and wife type deal.
Oh, they, like, talk about separating or anything
They
like
have,
that?
yeah.
Okay.
I would, yeah.
And you know this through...
Macy.
Yeah, I'm very
Macy.
close with her.
Yeah, it's
daughter.
important that you
I know.
tell them anything that you know, like that.
Yeah, and he is in Denver for a work job. He's a landscaper, and he's got a big job in Denver. So that's where he's at right now.
Okay.
And Macy and the older sister Mallory are on a road trip. Where are they?
Where is it? Where's the bike? Oh, it's right there.
Where was it?
It was like just right down here in this little embankment right here. So, like it just is. I got the husband on scene here with me.
It's gonna be okay. I'm here with my daughter. She's at Hearing
Oh,
Aug.
okay. All right. Yeah, you can go down there.
Was it a crash?
I mean, the bike looked the way it was laid. It kind of looked like it, but there's not really that much damage to the bike. That's the thing.
Lion?
Yeah, it was just like
Was
lying.
that no lion? Mountain lion?
I didn't see anything that would.
I didn't see anything, and they're not letting us go over the side
Because they're getting attracted.
Dogs, bringing dogs.
Kind of like
Just
here.
right down in here,
Do you know
yeah.
where my husband and son are?
They
Yeah.
probably went down to Puma,
Yeah,
down to the
so-
house.
my house.
Okay.
Hey, and Barry, just I know this is tough right now. Do you mind if I just get your driver's license for our report stuff? Search and rescue's on their way. Hey Barry, man, I'll probably need your help to kind of tell me some of the trails that she frequents, so we can backtrack some of that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm sorry.
Oh man. And she's an avid mountain biker, right?
She's just started. She's been here.
And just a confirmation, you left this morning at 5.
She was sound asleep.
Okay. And she told you she's gonna go bike riding?
She bikes every day, yeah.
Okay.
She's gonna bike when she gets up.
So she was asleep in the bed when you left. Did you say bye to her or anything?
No, she's sound asleep.
Okay.
Always leave it.
So the last time you probably actually saw her was this morning. That was it, right?
Yeah, I've been in Bridgeville. I got a big job up there. I've been there all day working. I'm sorry, you need to calm down.
No, it's all good, man. We're doing the best. We got
Did
a
they
lot of
check
people
the house?
coming.
Did they,
Yeah,
they
we got,
looked through the house?
yeah, they got the house. So what we're doing is we're keeping people out of the house because if the dog comes, they want to get a scent from out of the house.
Yeah.
So they don't want to pollute that scent. So that way we can start trying. And I walked up this. Like I said, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. Nothing looked like.
I wonder if she was hurt. If she could climb up the hill?
But that's the thing. When we came here, still was daylight, right? So she was right here, and somebody wouldn't easily, you know what I mean? Just because it was like literally like right down. It was this. I mean, if we saw it coming in, somebody would have definitely seen it too, you know. Hey, how's it going, man?
You want us to stage down at that residence or?
So hold on, let me get this in, and I'll get right with you.
Okay, no worries.
Hey, Barry. Besides, I know the bike was here, but what are some of the paths that, or like the trails, like this?
She rides this road. She rides up to the top, and then she goes up to Luce's. If there's no snow, she'll go up high on Luce's. She went down this one a couple times.
Down this one here too?
Yeah.
Okay. So double check Bruce over there too, because I think more than Miles. I think Miles. Yeah, I know. We just want to double check everything. So yeah.
Did anybody look for foot tracks on the road?
I haven't seen anything really, but
Like people tracks? We're lying.
I didn't really notice, but I won't lie, I'm not like an expert tracker or something, you know. Yeah, so my partner is actually the one that saw and picked it up, but it was like the top of it was weird because it feels like the top of the bike was like up this way.
So maybe flipped.
Maybe, I don't know, man.
But the problem is,
Go ahead.
what's the thing about 4 o'clock in the morning? Was that
Last
on the
time.
phone?
5 o'clock. Oh yeah, so we pinged the phone and it said the last activity was at 4 in the morning.
Up here?
It's off of the Ponzi Tower. Hey, could you not touch that bike with your hands, please?
Hey guys!
That's the hard news. Because I've been wearing gloves, I've been trying not to. So.
Put it in here. Can you fit it in your car?
No, but I could try to. My car is, with the back is filled with tag gear and
Gotcha.
everything.
Okay.
Yeah, and the bike was found right there. See that little pink thing right in there? And you can see it on our initial body camera too when we found it, right over there. Right there by like that tree. So. I didn't seem to like distraught because he's kind of like going back and like, why didn't they check it? I'm like, you know, we're trying to do the best. And this guy, guess his name's. He showed up on his own. I guess Barry. Hey Barry, are you guys? Where are you guys headed? Okay. Here soon. I'm gonna probably have you come and talk with us more. All right. Thanks, man.
Yes, sir. When we go inside, let's just go directly to where something that she's born today, and let's not touch anything just for in case.
Okay. Is this unlocked?
Yes.
Which way would that be? This way?
Anything down there?
These are all heard right here.
Yeah.
Have you got a plastic bag?
Yeah.
Or a paper bag?
It's a sports mask pretty good. I mean, it's direct contact with the skin. No, we should just be fine with one. How do you turn on the exterior lights? Which light switch is it? All of them, Dale?
Yes, you want security?
Hey, Anthony. Can I speak to you over there once we get back? Do you realize what you grabbed, right? Those shorts?
Yeah.
Those are for mountain biking.
Yeah.
Like the padded shorts you were wearing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that, I'm curious.
Yeah. I saw that. They were bike shorts.
Yeah.
And oh yeah. So I got them. You know, if you bike anything for the house ready, you know what I mean?
Almost from the jump, investigators felt that something was wrong. The bike scene seemed staged, and they were not convinced that Suzanne ever went on a bike ride that morning. Barry's own behavior after Suzanne went missing did not help investigators' suspicions. You can hear in the body cam that Barry is already throwing out the suggestion of a mountain lion to police when he pulls up, and Barry pretty much immediately told people that he thought a mountain lion got her, which many thought was a very odd thing to claim considering there was no evidence pointing to that scenario. There was no blood, no torn clothes, and no sign of a crash or struggle. In addition to that, Suzanne's blue bike helmet was located almost a mile away. On May 13th, a deputy took photos of scratches on Barry's hands and arms. He noted that they seemed to be healing and appeared to be several days old. On May 17th, Barry released a video asking for Suzanne's return and seemingly offering to pay a ransom to a group of mysterious kidnappers, even though no one had asked for one. Many found the video plea to be odd and void of emotion. The opening, "Oh, Suzanne," almost sounds like he's chastising her.
Oh, Suzanne, if anyone is out there that can hear this, that has you, please, we'll do whatever it takes to bring you back. We love you, we miss you, your girls need you. No questions asked. However much they want, I will do whatever it takes to get you back. Honey, I love you. I want you back so bad.
Barry did not participate in any of the searches for Suzanne. He announced to everyone that he would be conducting his own. On May 19th, deputies searched the Morphew home on Puma Path and discovered a few alarming pieces of evidence. Along with a set of Mallory sheets that were in the dryer, they found a sheath to a tranquilizer dart. They also found empty darts, dart packages, and a dart needle. However, what they couldn't find was the actual BAM tranquilizer chemicals. They also saw a large crack in the casing to Suzanne and Barry's bedroom door. When searching the master bedroom, they found an unspent .22 caliber bullet on the floor next to Suzanne's side of the bed. Barry interestingly denied that the sheath was his and said that he had no idea where it came from. However, he did admit to having animal tranks in his garage and that he had used them as recently as a month prior, and even said that he had shot at a deer with his tranquilizer gun from the back door of his home. Barry also denied knowing that there was a crack in the door. However, the prior owners of the house told investigators that the crack was not there when they sold the house in 2018. They also found Suzanne's spy pen tucked away in one of her drawers. One of Barry's coworkers, Jeff Puckett, who was supposed to help with the Broomfield job that Mother's Day, claimed that Barry called him up to Broomfield to help with the job, but by the time he arrived, Barry had already left due to a family emergency. He said that Barry's hotel room reeked like chlorine and there were wet towels on the floor. He also noticed that Barry had brought his mail into the hotel room, including insurance papers on his property, which Jeff thought was odd. Puckett also claimed that he was unable to do the job on the retaining wall because Barry didn't bring any of the right tools and none of the materials had ever been delivered. Frustrated, Puckett ended up just driving back to Salida. I went to the Holiday Inn in Broomfield in September of 2020, and I made a video about it, which I linked in the description below. I personally did not notice any type of chlorine smell in the rooms, and I even entered a room near the pool while it was being cleaned. In response to Jeff Puckett's claims, Barry snapped back that Jeff was a felon and shouldn't be believed. Jeff Puckett has since passed away. Investigators pulled Barry and Suzanne's phone records and the telematics to Barry's truck and noticed some giant red flags. Investigators saw that Barry had deleted incriminating texts between he and Suzanne and had deleted the text just days earlier when she had told him that she was done with the marriage and just wanted to handle things civilly. His phone data showed that on Saturday, May 9th, after he got home at 2:43 p.m., he was frantically pinging all over the house that afternoon. When asked about this, Barry said that he was running around shooting chipmunks. Investigators believe that those pings were Barry chasing Suzanne around the house with the tranquilizer gun. The phone records also showed that during the time they were supposed to be asleep, an outgoing call was made on Suzanne's phone at 2:53 a.m. Barry's truck telematics revealed that although Barry said he went to sleep at 8 p.m., his truck was backing down the driveway at 9:30 p.m. Investigators believed that that was the time when Barry could have possibly been loading Suzanne into his truck. At 3:25 a.m., his truck doors were opened and closed. At 4:31 a.m., Barry's phone was put back into airplane mode and he left his house to go to the construction job in Broomfield. There was a gap of time on the truck telematics between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m., so investigators asked Barry why he turned left upon leaving his house when he needed to turn right to go to Broomfield. Barry told them that he spotted some bull elk and turned towards them. Coincidentally, that was the direction where Suzanne's bike helmet was found. They also discovered that Barry made 5 suspicious trash stops in Broomfield the day Suzanne went missing. At 8:10 a.m., Barry made the first stop at an RTD station. Investigators were unable to see what he threw away. Barry then went to the Holiday Inn Express in Broomfield, where he made another trash run. At 8:38 a.m., he's seen on camera carrying multiple other items into his room, including hiking boots, a teal-colored piece of clothing, a darker piece of clothing, and a light blue bag. At 9:21 a.m., Barry is seen leaving the hotel and briefly going to the work site. He went to a McDonald's nearby and was caught on camera throwing more items away. At one point, he's seen using both hands to make sure that the trash was all the way pushed down. He then washed his car and did yet another trash run for 40 minutes. During the 5th trash run that was caught on camera, Barry later claimed that he, quote, may have thrown away tranquilizer materials. That piece of information would become incredibly important down the road. When investigators asked Barry about the BAM animal tranquilizers, he admitted to having them and said that he used them to sedate deer and take their antlers. When they asked him when the last time he had used them was, he said late April, a few weeks before Suzanne disappeared. However, in a subsequent interview a few weeks later, he changed his story and said that he had never used the tranquilizers at all in Colorado and only used to use them back when he lived in Indiana. It took investigators 6 months to discover that Suzanne was having an affair with Jeff Libler. They learned about the affair as they were listening to the contents of what was recorded on Suzanne's spy pen. When investigators finally tracked Jeff down in November of 2020, Jeff stated that he had known Suzanne went missing since May 12th, but cited the fear of losing his family and becoming a suspect as the reasons that he deleted all of he and Suzanne's communications and stayed silent. Armed with the phone records, truck telematics, and discrepancies in his story, a warrant was issued for Barry's arrest. He was arrested in May 2021 and charged with first-degree murder, tampering with a deceased body, tampering with physical evidence, and possession of a deadly weapon. On the year anniversary of Suzanne's death, the Chaffee County Sheriff went out to the Morphew property at the exact same time that Barry had left for Broomfield. He stated that it was pitch black in that area and he couldn't even see his hand in front of his face, casting doubt on Barry's story about turning left because he saw a bull elk. A preliminary hearing was held in August of 2021. I personally attended the hearing and I have those videos linked below. During the hearing, the state laid out their theory of what happened to Suzanne Morphew that Mother's Day weekend. Investigators believe that on May 9th, Barry arrived home at 2:43 p.m., went around to the garage to get his tranquilizer dart gun, and went around to the back of the house, catching Suzanne texting Jeff. Their theory was that he chased her around the house and eventually caught her and shot her with the tranquilizer. An expert had testified that Suzanne may have around 8 minutes from the time that she was shot until the time that she lost consciousness, but that she would quickly lose control of her motor functions. They theorized that the crack in the door was from Suzanne running into their bedroom and locking the door to protect herself, and Barry attempting to kick it in. A CBI agent took the stand and testified that he had seen many similar cracks in home invasion cases that he had worked. It also came out in the hearing that while being questioned, Barry had asked if he could have immunity if he laid out his whole life story to investigators. The defense countered that Barry's DNA was not found on the tranquilizer sheath and there was no way to connect him to it. They also argued that there was DNA found of a potential sex offender found on the glove box and back passenger seat of Suzanne's car. However, the way this was presented during the preliminary hearing was incredibly confusing, and it's my understanding that it's not a completely accurate statement. Regardless, I'm sure that's an issue that will be fully fleshed out if and when any new charges are filed. Then, in April of 2022, just weeks before Barry's trial was set to begin, the judge issued sanctions against the prosecution for failing to turn over potentially exculpatory evidence to the defense in a timely manner. The judge excluded 11 of the prosecution's expert witnesses, crippling the prosecution's case. As a result, the charges against Barry Morphew were dismissed without prejudice, meaning they could be filed again at a later date. The news was devastating for everyone anxiously awaiting the trial. Barry moved back to Indiana with his daughters, and it seemed that Suzanne Morphew's case would go cold. Then, in a pure stroke of luck, on September 22, 2023, while searching for another missing person, investigators stumbled upon Suzanne Morphew's body. Her remains were found in a shallow grave in the very rural area of Moffett, Colorado, about 45 minutes south of Salida. When investigators recovered her remains, they found human bones along with non-human bones and fragments, as well as clothing, a dirt-covered purple medical port, pieces of fabric, and a weathered bullet. The autopsy results were released to the public on April 29, 2024, just one day before what would have been Suzanne's 53rd birthday. The autopsy findings had an unexpected bombshell. Animal tranquilizer chemicals were detected in Suzanne's bone marrow. The very same chemicals that Barry admitted to owning, using, and driving 3 hours to throw away on the very same day that his wife disappeared. In response, Barry's attorney, Iris Eiton, issued a statement saying that investigators should be focused on hunters or ranchers in that area that had access to those chemicals. My theory has always been the same since I attended the preliminary hearing, but now with the new information, I definitely have a more detailed theory. Of course, these are just my theories, and Barry has not been charged again since the last charges were dismissed. Everything that I'm about to say is allegedly and just my opinion. I do believe the prosecution's theory that when Barry got home on May 9th, he grabbed the dart gun and went after Suzanne. I personally believe her murder was premeditated. The only thing that could have derailed that potentially would have been if she did some kind of 180 and agreed to stay. However, once it was pretty obvious that she was resolved in her decision to leave the marriage, I think things were set into motion and there was a limited time frame for him to get it done. One of the only things that makes me question the scenario that Barry caught her messaging Jeff is that Barry texted her twice that he was on his way home, and she relayed to Jeff that her messages might be spotty because Barry was on his way home. Since she had that heads up, I question that he caught her in the act of anything. I think it's more likely that he just knew he had to do it before the girls got back from their trip and that he had made up his mind that it was time. When his phone was pinging around the house and investigators thought that that was him chasing her, it reminded me of the story Suzanne told about Barry chasing her on their Mexican vacation. I believe the evidence supports that after she was shot with the tranquilizer, she did lock herself in the bedroom and he tried to kick it in. I don't believe that she had her phone at that time. I think she either dropped it in her frantic state of trying to get away or he took it from her. It seems like the bullet found by her side of the bed could have been from her trying to load a gun before she passed out, or from Barry loading a gun or just dropping a bullet while there was some type of struggle. That could possibly be how he got the scratches on his arm. I believe that after she passed out in their room, he changed her out of her bikini and into different clothes that he would think she would be biking in. Here's something I find really interesting. It's where alleged narcissistic traits will come back to bite you. I think Barry was in his own world and didn't pay much attention to Suzanne outside of just trying to control her, and it caught him up. Let me give you an example. It seemed in the body cam video that Macy's now ex-boyfriend Miles knew way more about Suzanne's regular biking trails, her biking clothing, and her habits. That bike was in a place that she did not normally bike. First red flag. Second, she normally drives to where she bikes, and the car was in the driveway with all of her belongings inside. Third, she always brings her sunglasses and a Camelback. Those items were also sitting in her car. Fourth, Macy's now ex-boyfriend knew what she wore and specifically said that she had a couple of biking outfits that she rotated. However, when her remains were found, she was not in the clothes that she normally biked in. She would not bike in that sweatshirt. The cops picked up on this immediately. You can see it on the body cam when they found her blue biking shorts in her closet. You can tell when you're watching the interactions between the two officers that they were already suspicious when they walked out of his house. The officer also states in the body cam that there's something wrong with the front wheel when he's trying to move it. This is a huge clue. I've seen people online talking about the fact that it's likely Suzanne removed her front tire when putting her bike in her car to go for a ride. We know that she took a bike ride on May 7th, but we don't know if she ever took the bike back out. If Barry were to pull the bike out of the back of her car and throw the front wheel on in a hurry, it's very likely he just threw it on and then set the bike where it was found. He most likely would not have spun the wheel and made sure that he attached everything correctly as if she would have if she was actually going to ride the bike. If that front wheel was askew at all when he put it back on, it would have felt locked up like the officer noticed. It clearly would not have been that way if it was actually ridden. Bottom line is, in order for Barry's alibi to be worth anything, Suzanne has to have been on a bike ride when she disappeared. Without that bike ride, the entire rest of the case falls apart. No one ever saw Suzanne go on a bike ride. However, it's now just routine that everybody reports that she disappeared while on a bike ride. However, there is absolutely no evidence to indicate that she ever did. It's clear to me and many others that the bike ride was staged. If we are to believe that a random person killed her, which has also been put out there by the defense, then we have to believe a bunch of other ridiculous theories. Let me list some of those out for you. The killer would have to know that she liked bike rides. The killer also knew that she'd be home alone on Mother's Day of all days when most women are home surrounded by family. The killer knew that their cameras that were clearly displayed on the outside of the house weren't working. The killer also just happened to have BAM chemicals on hand, the same chemicals that were able to be placed in Barry's hands before and after her disappearance, and this killer also happened to know how to use them. As far as the tranquilizer sheath found in the dryer, we are to believe then, I guess, that the killer, after staging her bike, throwing away her helmet, and going to bury her, came back and did laundry in the house. Now, let's talk about the tranquilizers because this is such a huge part of the case. Quite possibly the biggest part of any potential, fingers crossed, new charges. And we now have a new big piece to the puzzle. Since there's so much information that we've learned over the past 4 years and it's hard to kind of put it all together, I'm going to break this down in the most simplified way to condense everything we know. So stay with me on this for a minute and I'll circle back to why I'm going this deep and why this is so important. Like I stated earlier in the video, Barry said that he used the tranquilizers to shoot deer and cut off their antlers. Or as Barry so eloquently put it, their horns. That is a horribly unethical and illegal thing to do, and it was understandably upsetting to people and just was one more disturbing thing to learn about Barry. Many of us took that at face value and ran with it. However, what some people may not know is that investigators found that none of the antlers that Barry had were actually cut at the bottom. So if he's saying that the whole purpose of him having these tranks is to get deer's antlers and he didn't cut them off, how did Barry intend on removing these antlers of the deer he was allegedly tranquilizing? It can take over 1,000 pounds of pressure to remove antlers from a healthy deer. A human's not even capable of generating the force necessary to do that. So let's pretend that one was able to remove them that way. It would potentially kill the deer, which would completely defeat the purpose of tranquilizing the deer to begin with. Also, experts say that it would take between 4 and 20 minutes for a deer to drop after being shot with a tranquilizer. A deer runs approximately 35 miles an hour, so at that speed, a deer could potentially run between 2 and 12 miles away before it actually drops. Since the tranquilizer itself is just a small needle at the end of a cartridge, there would be no blood trail to follow. I guess what I'm trying to explain is the odds of Barry shooting a deer with the tranquilizer, tracking it for miles with no trail to God knows where, and then removing its antlers without cutting them off is pretty much slim to none. So with all of that being said, what were the tranquilizers that Barry had actually for? When we're alive, each one of us has a scent that's individual to us, but when we die, we all smell the same. Something that Barry would know, because he does follow true crime, is that within minutes of someone dying, their body begins to emit a scent that cadaver dogs can track. In my opinion, Barry used the tranquilizers to sedate and control Suzanne and keep her alive until he got her to a second location so that any cadaver dogs that would naturally be brought in wouldn't hit in the house or in his truck. So when you combine the fact that a tranquilizer needle sheath was found in the dryer with Barry's admission that he drove 3 hours to Broomfield and, quote, may have thrown away non-expired tranquilizer chemicals on the very same day Suzanne was reported missing, it's incredibly damning. Throwing away animal tranquilizer chemicals has nothing to do with the retaining wall job that he was allegedly preparing for on the next day. It's clear that investigators knew the importance of the tranquilizers from the beginning, but no one could predict that Suzanne would ever be found or that the tranquilizer chemicals would be able to be detected in her bones. Barry seems to try to deny or point away from the things that really matter. So let's take a quick look at what he denied or pointed away from. He immediately told cops, hey, I've been in Broomfield all day. Right there, he just got full use of his alibi. We also know from everything I just discussed that he had no reason to be in Broomfield at all on Sunday. Construction work is not allowed in Broomfield on Sundays, and if you want to say, well, he was just preparing for Monday, he was completely unprepared. How was he prepared by having all the wrong tools and no materials were ever delivered for this job? Not even on Monday when they were supposed to begin work. In my opinion, it does sound like a guy who was up all night and needed to drive far away to throw away evidence where it couldn't be found, a guy who needed to clean up, change clothes, and maybe use a little bleach, a guy who needed to shower, get some insurance papers in order, and maybe take a nap. Barry also denied knowing about Suzanne's affair with Jeff. I personally believe that he knew. It's motive, so of course he would deny it. The Facebook request going out to 3 different Jeffs on May 8th is pretty telling. My guess is he was probably trying to figure out which Jeff it was. We also have Suzanne citing on her list of her 50 grievances against Barry that he had accused her of having a boyfriend. Barry also denies knowing about that huge crack in the bedroom door, even though the prior owner said that it was not there when they sold it. Barry could have just said to investigators that it was there from something else that happened, but his denial leads me to believe that it has some type of significance from when Suzanne was murdered. Barry also initially denied turning left away from Broomfield until investigators told him that the truck telematics showed that he did. He then gave the story that he saw the bull elk and turned left, right in the area that Suzanne's helmet was found. Why try to conceal turning left at all? It was also revealed during the preliminary hearing that despite the 5 intricate, long trash runs, Barry's truck was still messy and cluttered with trash. Seems to me he only had specific trash in mind. I recently rewatched one of the Forensic Files episodes that Barry reportedly watched shortly before Suzanne's disappearance. It's about an 8-year-old girl named Vicki Hoskinson who disappeared in Arizona in 1984. The episode starts out by saying Vicki Lynn Hoskinson never returned home after running the errand for her mother. Her abandoned bicycle was the only clue to her disappearance. In that episode, little Vicki's disappearance attracts a lot of media attention, much like Suzanne's case, and the FBI becomes involved and the family makes a public plea. Also, much like Suzanne's case, they eventually find her remains in a rural desert area, and by the time they find her, only her scattered bones remain. I wondered if Barry made it to the end of that episode. If he did, he would know that Vicki's killer ended up being caught. One of the parts of that episode that gave me chills was that they arrested a suspect and he denied any involvement in Vicki's disappearance. However, in the end, investigators ended up using forensic testing done on Vicki's bones to help convict her killer. It is now up to Colorado 12th District DA Ann Kelly on whether or not new charges will be filed in Suzanne's murder. So what do you guys think of this case? Do you think with them finding the BAM chemicals in Suzanne's bones that there will be new charges brought against Barry? Or do you think that a lot of us are crazy and Barry's totally innocent and there's a psychotic rancher running around Salida shooting women with animal tranks? Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Also, before we end, I want to send out my continued love and support and prayers to the friends and family of Suzanne Morphew. There are so many of us out here that are really praying that this is her time, that she can see some justice. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe and see you next video.